episode of The Art and the Artist. I'm here with Cory B. Buckner. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah. You know what? I saw you on, I think it was Twitter first. And someone must have retweeted you because I wasn't following you. And I was like, oh, okay. This is a positive guy. I remember reading that you had taken a break from creating, and then when I started seeing all these pieces, I'm like, oh my, this dude super talented. I'm gonna have to reach out and talk to him, man. So all right, let's start from the beginning then.
All right.
Where are you located, and where are you originally from?
Located and originally from the south suburbs of Chicago, and I do mean far south suburbs of Chicago.
That's good. You know, when people talk about Chicago, you know, that's not usually what you hear, but that's great.
well, I claim Chicago, but if you ask people from Chicago, they wouldn't necessarily claim us.
Yeah.
But it's all love anyway. It's all love.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Okay. All right. So when did you realize that you had this gift, man, that you could paint and create like this? Was it always something you know? Were you always drawing and, you know, painting as a kid?
I remember being in the third grade, and we had I don't know if you guys have DARE there, drug abuse resistance education.
Oh, sure.
And yeah. And they had a poster contest. Okay. And I decided to redraw Garfield on my poster. And it was at that moment I was like, oh, you know what? I can do this. Yeah. So, you know, after the contest was over, I grabbed a Fruity Pebbles box and I drew Fred Flintstone. And just from there, you know, I just loved it. From it's been on, for the most part, it's been on since then.
Okay. Oh, that's incredible. All right. So what about your family then? So they must have seen, all right, well, you know, my son has this talent. Were they always supportive of you drawing and maybe eventually becoming an artist?
You know what? It's like a double-edged sword, okay? Yeah. It's not all good, it's not all bad, but the reality is my parents have always been supportive of just about anything I do in terms of allowing me to do it. Yeah. But, you know, there's two types of support. There's a support that kind of promotes the activity, but then there's like a financial support in terms of making sure you have all the things you need.
Yeah.
I grew up in I would say upper middle class, blue collar family.
Yeah.
And so while I was allowed to do music and sports and art growing up, I did not never, but not always receive the materials I needed.
I see.
So when people ask me about painting, I didn't paint as a kid because my parents wouldn't buy me paint. Okay. I had color pencils, paper. You know, I had the stuff that was, I would say, on the lower cost end of art supplies. I always had that stuff.
Okay.
But something like acrylic paints. I wanted an airbrush when I was young. That just it wasn't because they didn't support me. It just wasn't necessarily in the budget. You know, at all times.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we weren't poor, just, you know, I wanted sneakers too. I wanted video, you know, I had a lot of stuff I wanted. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But in terms of support, my family, even to this day, even my mother-in-law, I had a conversation with her recently, and I expected her to be like, you know, focus on the job or whatever. Even my mother-in-law, in terms of family, my brother-in-laws, also, everybody has always, at all points in time, been supportive of me pursuing this end of it.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's, you know, it's good. It's good to have the support. So, you know, a lot of artists, you know, people that want to become professional at it, they don't always have that support. You know, it's get a real. I mean, I wanted to be a musician growing up. You know, first thing my dad told me, hey, get a real job. You know, you know. And hey,
well,
you know,
I said it was double-edged sword. That's the other edge of the sword.
Yeah,
it was do it, but make sure make sure you have something solid first.
Absolutely. And I'm like, well, why'd you buy me this bass when I was 12, right? Come on, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you go up and you see other people making money doing it. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Absolutely. All right. So then the first sort of medium that you were using then, it was colored pencils and stuff like that. What were you drawing as a youngster? What did you like to get into?
Man, you know what? I wanted to be a cartoonist. Okay. And so I drew cartoon characters all the time. But my favorite thing to draw outside of the Ninja Turtles, that they were like in a class all themselves.
Yeah.
I loved superhero art. Like Superman has always been my guy, but Batman always had the best artwork. Then Spawn came along, in the later 90s. And to this day, right over here, I got a couple Spawn figures that I keep down here where I work. But my absolute favorite growing up was, I love superheroes. The muscles, the heroism, the costumes. It was like everything that I loved about art was right there.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. I grew up in the X-Men, the animated series era.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I was a big superhero guy too. So I completely understand. Okay. Yeah. All right. So then, were you self-taught as an artist? Did you ever take any art classes? Is all of this just from repetition and practicing?
I don't know, kind of yes and no. I started by myself, when I was in the lower grades, so I figured I could draw in third grade. I didn't have access to real art classes until I was in high school.
Okay.
In high school, whatever I could fit in my schedule, between it was art, music, and sports, and I was balancing, trying to keep it all in the schedule. So I took a few art classes in high school, and then I actually went to a liberal arts college for a little while.
Okay.
I went to Barra, which doesn't exist anymore, and that's the only actual art training I had. I went there for 3 years. Mm-hmm. But I really only went there for 2 years. only went to class for 2 years. And one of those semesters, I was a business major. Although I didn't finish that education, being 18, 19, 20 in a predominantly arts environment, that has had a more long-lasting effect than the actual education that I received, because I've never lost my love for that environment. Yeah. But in terms of classes, maybe I took 10 classes total. Arts in my whole life. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. So then, I want to talk about school, because so when I had first found you on social media, you had said that you had taken a break from art, whether it be, on your own volition or not. But then you started to come back and actually creating at a pretty good pace. I would say you're putting this stuff out, man. I love it. So what did you go to school for eventually? And I mean, obviously, I know you had a job. What were you doing up until now when you decided to, all right, I'm going to get back into this art thing?
Okay. You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
And then I'll give you the trajectory. No, I brought 2 pieces down for you. Okay. And I'm going to show you 2 pieces. Nothing happened between these 2 pieces. Okay. This right here, you may have seen them online. This is the last thing I painted here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I painted this in 2015. Okay. I only painted a few pieces before that. The next piece that I painted was this one here. And I did this last year in November. Nothing happened. I didn't do anything between those 2 pieces.
Wow. Yeah.
Which means what? Which means I was sitting on something. You know what I'm saying? I was wasting talent, wasting ability. I wouldn't call it talent, wasting ability. So what happened was, I mentioned I was into music and arts and sports. Sports took priority growing up. My dad got me into football. Sports was priority. But when I went to college, I went to school that didn't have sports, except they had a basketball team, and I walked on the basketball team.
Yeah.
I just couldn't let go of sports. Even now, like if I pan the camera this way, you'd see my gym right here. Yeah. I couldn't let it go. Yeah. But in 2001, I had my first kid.
Oh, okay.
And I was still able to do music at that time.
Okay.
But there was no time, music, you can punch in, punch out, but I wasn't able to really, I couldn't do music and arts and stay, and work out. Couldn't do all of them. So the art suffered. And I went to corporate America. I went to the social services first, and then I went full on into a job as I started as a graphic designer. Then I went to web development. Then present day, I still hold a position as a marketing director. As I'm coming out, to answer your question, about 2001, I got 2 paintings from like 2001, 2002. One of my hate, but it's part of the process. Yeah. Then I got this one over here, and then from then on, anything I did in between there, except for a few drawings to prove I could still draw, it was all digital work, all graphic, all inside of a computer somewhere, probably never to be seen again.
Really? Well, okay. Yeah. All right. So, okay. All right. Oh, that just brought up another question then. Okay. So you have some digital pieces, because everything I've seen that you've ever posted has been painting. So you have some digital work just kind of just hitting in the cut right now.
Yeah, I mean, I got a few shirts that I sold, on the fitness end. That's my digital work. I have marketing campaigns that is out there, but nobody's gonna care about it because it's in the dental.
Oh, sure.
Nobody's gonna look, and they were in magazines. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We don't do magazines anymore. So I do have, I have work out there, and for a little while I shared that work. But the truth is, after what we're talking over 20 years now of doing digital work and not being allowed to do analog work, I just kind of personally soured on it. Now I don't hate it. My son is a digital artist, and he's better than me. He's a better drawer than I ever was.
Oh, that's
and
incredible.
all of I know. Actually, I have a couple kids. I have a daughter and two sons. Two daughters that all draw better than me. Like just sit down and draw. Wow. They don't need a guide. They know what the skull looks like. They know how to, stuff that I just never took the time to learn.
Oh, that's beautiful though, man. That children following in those footsteps. That's great.
But my son he's all digital, 100% digital. The other two draw on paper like me.
Okay. All right then. Yeah. So because I was going to ask this question later, but I'm going to bring it up now since we're talking about digital art. And like NFTs. I'm not sure if you dabbled in them, or your son that you say is 100% digital artist. Has that been something that you've been thinking about, or even your son? Has he thought about selling NFT art? No.
I want to keep the tone light. I don't want to.
No. Say it. I'll tell you how I feel about NFTs. Actually, go. Yeah. So let's hear it. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you first.
You go first. Yeah, you go first, and then I'll see how far I can go.
Okay. So when NFTs first came out, like in the beginning, I didn't understand what it was. Right? Like I was very confused, and so this is like right at the the beginning of it, and then like the Bored Apes and like bullshit like that came out. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is not art. This is not art. You can't give me 1,000 of the same image with different clothes on like this. Like I don't care about this because number one, it's taking you're saying this is an art platform, but the real artists making one-of-one works, making original pieces are not selling like these $400,000 Bored Ape NFT. I thought it was absolutely nonsense. I have changed my tone because that side of the NFT business, that just quick money grab NFT business, it seems to be on its way out, right? Like most of those Bored Apes aren't worth anything, right? They're not worth anything at all. And I do see actual artists making decent money from people that want to collect their digital work. Not at the same rate that I'd say someone would collect, like a hand painted work, but I have seen some real artists start to make some moves in the NFT space. So I've changed my mind because in the beginning I thought, all right, it's non-artists making money grabs and you're selling this as an art platform when really it's something else. But now I've changed my mind because I do feel like the tide is changing and real artists are finding collectors and making, good money. Not, they're not selling $400,000, digital pieces like it was in the beginning, but there, I've seen some $1,000, $2,000 NFTs going, and I think it's a good way for artists to have another stream of income. But that's if you can find the collectors. Really, that's what it all comes down to.
I have a couple problems with NFTs, a couple, and it all comes from my experience in other fields, collectibles, arts, and database building. Okay. I have direct experience with all those things. First and foremost, an NFT is actually nothing.
Yeah.
It's your name in a database somewhere. Yeah. It does not prevent me from owning the exact same piece of art that you own.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's my first problem. People think that. See, the problem was businessmen saw how popular GIFs and JPEGs were, and it was frustrating to them that something that was being seen by millions of people could not be commodified. So they created a way, whether it's real or not, to commodify it and sell something that's popular. And they said now, which leads to the second con. So they said now, you look at how popular this is. You can own this now.
Yeah.
Which brings the second con. They did it with coin collecting. They did it with comic books. They did it with sports. It's called a bigger fool scam. Okay, you buy it at one price on the hopes that you'll find a bigger fool to buy what you bought.
Okay.
So I buy a coin or a card or a comic book or an NFT. I buy it for $10,000 on the hopes that another fool will come along and buy it for me for 15 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but at some point you run out of fools.
Yeah.
And so you're left with something that had value when you bought it, but has no value now. Yeah. And so you take one person. It could be someone vested in the venture, and that person they're doing it with retro games now too. Oh, and so let's say I got an NFT, right? I want to raise the value. So I call you up and say, look, we're gonna raise the value of all our NFTs. I'm gonna buy your NFT for a ridiculous amount. You just make sure that it gets published. You make sure that the news media gets hold of it. Now everybody thinks that finding the right NFT is going to give them a 10,000% increase when they sell it.
Yeah.
Once that article is published, now the value of everybody's NFTs that were worth absolutely nothing before the article was posted, now they skyrocket. 2 years later, everybody's stuck holding these NFTs. Yeah. Now that the value's gone. Wait, you didn't double or triple your investment? And so NFT is a con and it's a scam and it's a shell game. And unfortunately, something that can be reproduced by pressing Control-C, Control-V will never net the true value of any one of these pieces right here. Have questionable value. Okay, sure. Maybe I could sell them for $1,000. Maybe I could sell them $1,500. Maybe they're worth $200. Yeah. But an NFT, which I can give to you and press Control-C, Control-V and sell it to the next person in the exact same format, has zero scarcity, regardless of a blockchain, will never ever have actual value that matches any of these one-of-one pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. And it very much was, I felt like if it was treated more like, even like you say, trading cards or something like that, right? Because the people that got into it in the beginning, right? I mean, they're all like billionaires, right? If you knew what you were looking at, you could tell right away, okay, I see what this is. This is, it's kind of like a Ponzi. This is, someone's going to get left holding this, especially when people, the artist people that sold that he was doing a project, making digital art for every day. And he sold some ridiculous piece I think at Christie's too, at an auction house, no less, you know what I mean? And so they were in on the scam, and find out the guy that bought that piece was already in talks with people. And, they already knew each other and, had plans for, other things in the future. But this is why I say now that I've sort of changed my mind, is because no one's making not even $50,000 on an NFT. It's just not happening. So for me personally, if I ever were to buy one, like I've never bought one, it would be to support an artist I like that's it. Like, it wouldn't be to show it off. It wouldn't be. Although here in LA though, they do have, I have seen a few pop-up NFT galleries, and those shows are always pretty fun. But I mean, it is different than holding a piece, even a print of a digital art. You know what I mean? I think is it's a little bit more special than just having it in your computer. But
it's just ones and zeros, and it's not a thing. It does not. Which is my original issue with digital art. It doesn't exist. I told you I got 20 years of digital art in computers and drives somewhere.
Yeah, just
the only thing displayed in my house is the physical stuff.
Is the paintings. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, I like your honesty too, man. Most people wouldn't say anything.
Now, I will say, if I can add this, and I'll make it quick because I know how I am. Yeah. As a way for digital art, I told you my son is a digital artist.
Yeah.
As a way for digital artists to own their own digital work, I do like it for that. It's not the technology I have a problem with, and it's not that they exist. It's the shell game con of people trying to sell, what will be my kids and my grandkids, the idea that this thing that you can't physically hold or possess is worth money only because you can sell it to someone else for more money later.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. That's the side I have a problem with.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like where this conversation is headed. All right.
I'm enjoying myself, man.
Okay. All right. So after you had taken that break, and all right, I'm gonna get back into it. What was there a deciding factor, or was there an event that happened that made you say, okay, I'm getting back into this right now?
Oh yeah. So I work an hour from home.
Okay.
That means every day I drive an hour. At the time, it was taking me an hour and a half to go there and come back.
Oh.
And so I waste a lot of my life just traveling back and forth to work. But that type of travel also causes car problems. Repeatedly changing tires. So one day I had a real bad tire blowout, and I ended up calling off work, and it cost me. After the blowout, when I tried to change the spare, I ended up tightening the screws too tight. So I ended up losing 2 bolts on the tire. So it cost me 2 days work.
Okay.
And I just, at that moment, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not gonna worry about it. My work will be there when I get there. Nobody's gonna do my work for me. I'm at home. I'm here for a reason. Like, there's a reason this happened. As a father and a husband, I'm almost never home alone.
Yeah.
There's always somebody here. And for 2 days, I was home alone. I've always had an easel. It's off camera, you can't see. I've always had this easel sitting in my house from way back in 2015 when I was painting. And so I came downstairs, I was gonna work out, and I saw the easel sitting there. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy me, I could never get over my love of the look of paint on a canvas.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way the brush strokes look and all of that. And I said, you know what? Now, at this time, I didn't know I could really paint. I don't consider the 2015 a great painting. It is a painting.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the time, I said, I mean, I like it, but it's not great work. And between you and I know I did it in about 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So there's not a lot of investment in it other than it's a part of my history.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm gonna paint. I said, I'm gonna here's how I'm gonna calm myself down from all of this that's going on. I'm gonna paint. And I went and I bought the canvas, the brush, the palette, the paint. I didn't have anything to start with. I bought it all that day. And that's this paint over here. I don't know if you can see it.
I know that piece.
Yeah. Now, the tricky part was, once I started, I was taking time away from me and my wife.
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't really ask permission to, in addition to working out after work and other stuff like that, to take this extra time. So there was a kind of pressure on me. This is the only reason why I didn't turn in another one of these paintings. Okay. There was pressure on me to prove that it was a good use of my time. Sure. So I felt like I needed to, I call this piece proof, because I felt like I needed to prove to myself that I could actually paint. And I needed to prove to people around me who had met me in the last 20 years, who didn't know that I painted, and prove to my wife that I wasn't just down here playing around. Like, there's something here. Yeah. And so that combination of events, the frustration from constantly having to buy new tires and missing days of work, to, I need a separate outlet. My creativity is dying. I was sick of doing content. I was tired of that. And then once I jumped into it and I felt that obsession come on, I then had to prove to my wife that I wasn't down here just kind of jokey or just doing it. No, there's something real here that we as a couple probably need to pursue before I really run out of time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So then after that, then your wife then came on board. Then she was like, okay. I mean, I would imagine after you've been putting out so much since then, that you're like, okay, this is something I can get behind. It. He's not just fooling around downstairs.
I honestly have, and I'm not saying this for brownie points or whatever, although, baby, if you see this, I'll take the brownie points. I have one of the most supportive wives that a man can have.
That's beautiful.
Particularly, as Black men, we get you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or this, or you already got a career, or, my wife, first, she's a creative. Her father is a creative, which kind of laid the groundworks. I think for her understanding of why I have these passions, and I'll call them struggles, that I deal with between corporate and artistic. But she's always been on board. She didn't give me any flack, even when I had not shown her any. The reason why I have artwork still is because when she and I first started dating, she took my artwork from my house, even the painting that I said I hate. Yeah. She took them and brought them to her house. Yeah. And so that made me feel like, okay, she's into that. That's good. Otherwise, they would have gotten lost probably over the last 10 years. They would have just been scarred. And I probably would have gone on with my life and not cared too much about it. I would have had the passion, but I wouldn't have. There was a separate event that I forgot to tell you about. I don't know if we have time for it. We got time. Yeah, but there was a she took those paintings and she brought them in the house that we live in now together. Okay. And when I leave my bedroom, they hang there. And on the side that I leave out the bedroom, I see my paintings. And then there's an older painting that's from the 60s by her uncle that hangs on the other side. Yeah. And I realized, and I was coming out, this was the moment before I decided to go with the canvases. I realized I had done some really important work over the last 20 years. One of some campaigns that basically saved people's jobs, Oh, wow. Marketing campaigns. Yeah. Okay. And that stuff was completely irrelevant now. But here's two paintings from 2011 and 12. She didn't even know me. Well, we weren't in each other's lives at the time. And here's another painting that's a decade older than me. Yeah. That are still as relevant. Yeah. Like these things, the value of these things, they're still here, they're still relevant. And the way that hit me, it really gave me kind of a kick and a push. And that's all stuff that my wife did. Yeah. So she's been supportive and she didn't know when she brought that art here that it was going to stay and linger and then have this effect. We've been together for going on 7 years. Yeah. We're going into our 5th year of marriage, and she had no idea when she took that stuff that this is what it was going to lead to. Yeah, but she did. But that's the kind of support she's always had of me.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's wow. Yeah, you never know. You just never know what's going to happen. Yeah. You never know. That's great. Yeah, do you know what I wanted to talk about? Because just from the artwork, you tell that your wife means a lot to you. For you to memorialize her, in this way, and it's something funny that I read about that. Yeah, that piece right there of you and your wife. I guess you had the colors a little bit different, and there was more abstract, and she told you to change it and make it more. I was like, okay. That's the wife right there.
She didn't tell me to. She didn't directly say. She didn't challenge my artistic vision or anything. Yes. She just kind of gently said, Are you gonna give us black eyes? And I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then she just kind of let it sit there while I tried to figure it out. And I said, what do you mean? Like I thought she was saying, was I gonna hit her or something? I'm like, where is this coming from? And she said, on our paintings, the blue stuff on our face looks like a black eye. And I took a second, I said, oh, it does. Yeah. And I could not unsee it. I could not. And I immediately went down and I went on it and put the real colors. I left a little of the blue on my side of the face because I like the lighting effect. But the black eyes I had to, She got her point across without being a nag. You better.
Very subtle. No, that's beautiful. But yeah, that's a great piece too. I love that piece, man. It goes to show, like you could it's funny, my boss always tells me that you can tell if a man loves his wife because he'll say it, right? Or you'll see it without even, him saying, oh, this is my wife and I love her. It shows, you know what I mean? And I think that's especially true for when I see an artist that puts their, their spouse or their children in their pieces like that. That it's something that's going to be there forever, and it was an idea that you had filled with love, and then the people that you love that you want to immortalize on a canvas. And it's beautiful. This is one of the reasons why you're a good follow, man, because I like I said, you're a positive guy. You're always saying positive stuff. Obviously you love your family and your wife. And those are good qualities, man. So I'm glad I found you on Twitter that one day.
Well, I'll tell you on that note, I'll tell you something. There's a quote floating around social media. It says you should always date an artist at least once, because if he really cares about you, he'll immortalize you. I read that. Now here's something interesting. This is I call her my first wife, but this is my second marriage.
Okay.
Yeah. I was married before, and I have not been married half as long to Tamika as I was the first time.
Okay.
This is her actually in art.
Yeah.
And all of the other pieces are inspired by moments we had together, or like inside jokes, etc. Even the piece I'm working on now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible, man.
0 pieces from the first marriage.
Wow. Well, okay. Hey. They don't want to immortalize that.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody picked up
subconsciously.
Yes. 0 from the first, and and it means what I'm saying that it means. When a man really loves a woman, or an artist really loves the person that they're with, they will immortalize them.
Yeah.
And so, if you're watching this and you're dating an artist and they haven't at least tried to immortalize you yet, you might want to ask.
You might want to take another look at that relationship. Oh man, that's great. Okay.
I just got some poor artists in trouble.
Yeah, for real. It would be a huge breakup event in the artist community.
Yeah. Don't add me. If your person leave, don't add me. That's on you.
Oh man. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. Okay. So do you see a time when you leave the corporate world for good and become a full-time artist?
Oh yeah. Well, I would say a full-time creative again.
Yes. Okay.
There was a period where it was full-time at one place. I was part-time creative, part-time teacher. Mm-hmm. That was a great place to be. It was a great place for me. Maybe by the time this airs, I may have an announcement or not. Okay. But yeah, that is the goal to first, like I got some things stirring where I do believe long term, my wife and I will own some kind of gallery, whether that's full time or something we do on the side. Because I want other people like me who are stuck working, but they got that artistic drive. I really want to create. I'll dig the well as long as they can come and drink from it. So I want to do that. But yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it'll ever be just full-time artist, but definitely full-time creative with art and my artistic gifts and my creativity at the center of it.
No, that's great. Yeah,
that's the working goal right now.
It's good to have that goal too. That's a bit of a goal of mine too. It's funny when I started this show. So my dad's an artist. It's funny you talked about being in an art like environment filled with artists and stuff like that. I grew up for a period of my life in an arts district, in the arts district downtown Los Angeles.
Nice.
And there were no kids there. There was no one my age there. You know what I mean? So I would just go walk around and you would just see artists everywhere. There were, people doing graffiti art, and then a bunch of lofts will have their doors open because they're inside painting all day. So that's sort of from the ages of like 15 to 22. Like that's how I grew up, right? And it made me understand how important art is. I mean, in every society, right? Especially like ancient, societies, the art always lasts, right? We know periods of art. We know what ancient Egyptian art looks like. You go all the way back to Greece and Rome. And to get someone like you to come here and talk to me, man, this is I don't know, this is something that I won't say groundbreaking, but it's something that's needed, I think. I think the artists are a little underappreciated in today's society, especially with the advances in AI, which
are we gonna have that discussion?
Man, I'm making a video for the channel about AI art, and whenever I think it's done, something comes out and I'm like, gosh, now I got to talk about this. All right, so how do you feel about, all right, so I had this experience on Twitter a couple weeks ago where I just stumbled across some guy who calls himself an artist. He uses Midjourney. Listen, if you're not like an actual artist, I know some artists that kind of experiment with it, maybe for like references or, just to get an idea of something. But if you don't actually do any other kind of art, you're not an artist if you just use Midjourney. I'm sorry, you're not. So I saw this guy post a painting that he made on Midjourney. And immediately after he posted it, there was 1 million people saying, wait a minute, this looks exactly like some artist we all know, that the world knows. It looks exactly like something he made. And then that artist jumped in on the stream and said, what did you put to prompt this? Like, what did you use my name or like the name of one of my paintings? Because it looks like a bad replica of something I made. Yeah. And everyone knew it from the beginning. And this guy just, didn't care. No, I didn't use it as a prompt, but you could clearly see it. Whether intentional or not, the AI was probably trained on this guy's art. That's why it looks, I mean, not exactly. You could tell it was AI because AI still has its problems. But that's what worries me about AI is one, how these things train, the data sets are trained. They're trained off of paintings that already exists. They're trained off of people whose styles have taken them their whole careers to create. And for you to just type a couple letters in, type a couple prompts in, and now you're an artist, I don't think so. Like I really don't. So how do you feel about the sort of advancement in AI art?
We're hitting all the good issues tonight. I was hoping we got there. Okay. So I think calling it AI art is the first problem.
Yeah.
I think it's the first problem. There's a place for it. I come from technology and art. I think there's a place for it.
Yes.
And I think there's and I'll state the place for it first and I'll work my way backwards. I personally believe that I don't want to work for anybody who doesn't want to pay me. In other words, if you would prefer to replace me with a robot, then do that.
Yeah.
Get what you get. Okay. I believe that art should be exclusive. Yeah. That's why I prefer analog. That's why I believe in digital drawing, digital media, all of that. I told you I love cartoons. I love all of that. But art itself should be exclusive. And I think that's where I draw the line, whether something is a work of art or it's an image or a mass-produced consumer item. Sure. So then, if we're going to call it art, so we're going to stick to art is anything, and we're going to allow AI to produce art. The question then becomes, who's the artist? Yeah. And some people would say, if somebody commissioned you to do work, and they say, hey, look, I need you to draw me a dog riding a unicycle. Who's the artist? You or the person who requested the art?
Oh, I would say if I'm not prompting it in AI, if I'm drawing it, I would say, yeah, whoever creates it is the artist.
Yeah. Even if someone else has ownership rights, you're still the artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's take it one step further. And then, and I'll be brief. If I hire you as a DJ, okay, and I bring you to my party, okay, you're hired as the DJ. So I'm not the DJ. I just requested, hey, play 90s hip hop for me, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Now you show up at the party, you pull your laptop up, and you tell Serato, play 90s hip hop, and the program decides what music to play.
Yeah.
Who's the DJ?
Yeah, no, it's the Serato's the DJ. Yeah, my older brother's like a DJ, so I will not take that respect. Yeah, just that's exactly.
And again, I don't have a problem with any of that. I don't have a problem. Yeah. I do not have a problem. Yeah. I just think that
can't call yourself a DJ.
Art. I mean, right. I would say that in that case, I would say the programmer is the DJ. So with AI, I've contended that the programmers who wrote this amazing software that can create these amazing images, those people are artists.
Yeah,
I'm a programmer. I see programming as a work of art.
Sure.
So they created something that is a tool that produces art. So they're artists. We're just a commission. We just commission from that tool what it is. Unless you're using it as a prompt or you're using it as an example to work from, then it's no different than pulling something from a magazine or So we know that art fraud, we know that art theft, art fraud, copying someone's art is a crime. And we know that intellectual property theft is a crime. So the only real problem I have with AI art is that the imitation of another artist's work to pass it off as like that artist, that's a crime. If a human does it, it's a crime. And also intellectual property theft, which is taking art theft is taking someone's art. It does that. Stealing someone's style is intellectual property theft. That's also a crime. The only reason you can't charge anyone with a crime is because it's a computer committing the act. But there may come a day, just like you can charge someone with theft if they write a program that steals a penny from every deposit. There may be a day where all of you all who are typing all those prompts may be guilty of committing one of those crimes. So keep that in mind, because I promise you, if the courts allow that, they're going to come for you because everybody wants to protect their intellectual property and their artistic integrity.
I actually think there's a couple lawsuits going on with Midjourney. Actually,
absolutely. Getty Images is suing.
You can't trade your data sets on things that already exist, on pictures that people have taken and artists that have their work online, and you're just that's where I draw the line, because that is art theft. That's exactly you can't
exactly what it is.
Because if I could say make something in the style of someone, obviously this AI was trained on things that I've made without my permission. It's insane. But there is a place for AI art. I do.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I see people using it, for references or just to get work out an idea they have about a piece they want to create. And with that, I think it's okay. But they're actually going to paint it after, they're not going to just print out the image and sell it as as prints. That's not the way it works.
And those companies, the companies who don't want to pay us as artists, they can have it. They can. I will go head to head with an AI bot, art for art, any day. So you take your AI bot, and whoever wants to hire me to produce an editorial for them, and I promise you, what I produce is gonna be better, because you always get your money's worth. But if you don't want to pay me, go get what you're gonna get. Just like it ain't no different than you give your price. And they say I can find somebody to do it for cheaper, and they find somebody to do it for cheaper, and it looks cheap. Ain't no difference. So let them have it. Let them have it. Let them have it.
Absolutely.
They can clear it up for the people who really want to pay us as artists.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it. It's amazing technology, but I mean, at what cost? I mean, at what cost to the creators? Or like taking someone's job. I know there were a couple of magazines that I used AI and then had to apologize after the huge outrage from artists. So, I mean, who knows where it's going to be, but I do feel like people trying to say they're artists and sell prints of things that an AI generator prompted out. I mean, I don't think that's some people in the future are getting in trouble. You're not an artist. All right. Look, I could go on at Midjourney and make some stuff. That doesn't make me an artist. All right. It just doesn't.
Exactly.
Man.
And you may prove that you're a great writer or a very descriptive person. So follow that path. Call yourself an orator. Call yourself a creative. You're just not an artist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. All right. All right. Yeah. This is the first real conversation I had. I mean, I talked about AI a few times, but not like this. Usually I gotta walk on eggshells a little bit.
No. Not with me.
Okay. All right. So growing up where you did, would you say that the environment that you were around, just as a kid, growing up as a teenager with your family, that had an impact on the way you create or the things that you create?
Maybe. I I would say the fact that I was allowed to be as creative as I wanted to be, and the fact that my upbringing was extremely diverse.
Yeah.
I wasn't in just one group of people for my whole life. And I lived in a community. The community was diverse. All the communities around them were a different type of diverse. So I would say, and I had a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. I would say that had an impact. But I think the bigger impacts happened after I was older, when I left for school, and when I really found myself in a fully immersed artsy environment and felt that freedom to really explore things. I think more of it happened when I was in my late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about what inspires you. I mean, I would say your family for sure is a big source of inspiration for you. But would you say it's more so what's going on around you right now? More so your past experiences in life? Or is it just that, sort of like out of the blue, you come up with ideas and like, okay, this just popped in my head. I'm going to go create something that, that's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Now I can't speak. Something that, something that just popped into your head that you want to paint.
I have stories that I want to tell. I have these things, they live in my head, and being in corporate America for 20 years, they just, it's beyond full-term pregnancy at this point. You know what I'm saying? They just kept growing and growing and growing. And I've told some of these stories in various formats, video, in writing, but I have a way that I want to tell a story, and I have a way that I see the world around me when I close my eyes. So right now, you look a certain way. When I close my eyes, my brain reconstructs that in a different way.
Okay.
And I like the way that world looks. So obviously, these are human beings. Yeah. These are cartoonish visions of human beings. Yeah. Okay. Lifelike. There's stories a lot, obviously, around love and companionship and beauty that I want to share, but I want it to not just sound the way I want to share, but I want it to look the way I want it to look. So writing, as much as I love it, could not suffice, because it was up to you to construct the images.
Sure. Yeah.
And at present, what's really driving me is I want to tell love stories, but from a male's perspective. Yeah. Okay. We get a lot of love stories from women's perspective. Women, the white horses, limos, trips to Paris, beautiful days. We were boys once. Yeah. Love for us looks like Superman carrying Lois Lane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Love for us is running into the club and somebody's messing with your woman, and you stand up for her and you protect her. Like that's what a man's love story looks like. Yeah. And so I have a real passion to share what love and relationships look like from our side of it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh no, I like that. That's that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. Thanks. All right. So do you have or maybe speaking a little too far into the future, but what you're working on right now? Because I almost get a feeling of like a series of works, right? Like these are all sort of the same series. Is that something that you intentionally do, or is it just sort of the style that you're working in right now? No. I when I say I have a story to tell, I'm literally telling a story. Yeah. And when I'm done with the works, wherever I decide to display these, if I have opportunity to show them, there's an actual story, and it's it's a fictional story based off of factual events. Okay. But each one, where's the first one? There's a story behind that goes with that with that painting. And this was the second one. There's a story that this is based off of a life event. Okay. Between me and my wife. And then so I'm telling a story. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. All right. That's dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw something that you have posted a few times, and I think it's pretty cool. All right, so you write, I'm never really finished, just done. All right.
Yeah.
So how do you know? Like, this might be sort of a question with no answer. But how do you know when you're done with the piece? I would imagine that, okay, you could, like, all the pieces you have behind you, right? You're okay, these are great. But do you ever walk by one day and be like, maybe I should add this, or maybe I should change that? Do you, when you have them done, they're done for good then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a moment, because each one of these paintings, every time I look at them, I'm like, I should have did this. I could have added that. And you can always add more detail.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where I worked on it for a while, and I didn't walk away from it done. I left because it was 3:00 in the morning. I got to work the next day. And I come down the next day and I get ready to work again. And I look at it and say, you know what? This piece is done. Yeah. I've always got another blank canvas sitting where I can see it. So there's always another one waiting to be started on. And I just look at it and I know in that moment I'm done. And once I put my signature on it, that then I don't want to touch it again. I had the hardest time. The piece that I just gave away yesterday, the day before yesterday.
Was that the vibe piece?
Yes, the vibe piece.
Yeah. Great piece.
Yeah. If you look at it, that piece was finished in 2022, but I put 23 on it. Okay. And it was a real decision I had to make to fix that or not. Because once I sign it, it's done. Yeah. I don't touch it. Okay. The only thing left to do is put the resin on, but I don't. But I made the decision to remove the date. I didn't add the right date; I just removed the date. So it's the only piece out there that doesn't have a date on it by me. Is that one? But once I put my signature on it, I don't want to touch it again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's good. Okay. All right. So is there a like an art scene that you're involved with where you live, or is there even, a good art scene at all? Do you ever go out to galleries, things like that, show openings?
Yes, my wife and that's our common date is any, and I would say we do both. We do art galleries, but we also do like the pop-ups, like the Wonder Museums and what's the other? We did Artopia when it was here. So anything that's artistic. Chicago has a wonderful art scene, both in terms of fine arts and pop art or consumer art. And I personally enjoy it all. I know sometimes I come off a little snobbish about art, probably, but the truth is, when we did the Womanish exhibit, I love that. Now, some people call that Instagram art or whatever. I don't care. The art was good. It was fun. It was a good time. It's better than doing something else. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
And those artists are making money. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes coming from music, sometimes you do a little bit of the consumer stuff so that you can afford to do the stuff that ain't nobody gonna buy.
The passion projects.
Exactly. So I don't run with other artists at this point. That's just because I've been in the business world so long. But in terms of the events and the culture of Chicago, my wife and I, that is our ongoing date, and we look and see what's coming, and we hit it all. That we can't, all the things we can hit.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I tell people, I was telling my nephew the other day, I would say, man, like, when someone tells you art, oh, let's go to a gallery, or let's, I took him to a show opening about a month or so ago. And it's like, oh, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, it's a whole, at least here in Los Angeles, right? Like if you go, like I'm gonna try and hit one after I finish here at a show opening. If you're at the right gallery, and it's had the right curator, and you drum up, not even drum up enough attention, but if you set the right scene, and it's usually, it's free drinks, there's usually a DJ there, you know what I mean? Like it's usually like a happy place. But I encourage young people, instead of, going to a bar every weekend or a club every weekend, go check out an art show opening, man. Go support an artist. Go go and get some culture, all right? It's but yeah, that's my Friday, Saturday nights is art show openings, man. I've turned into my father. It's
see, there you go. Like father, like son.
Oh man.
And that's the benefit of being raised like that, though, right?
Because
you know how many people from we can't really say our community, because obviously we were raised in arts, but our community, you know how many brothers, they don't even know that stuff is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not really from Chicago. I can claim Chicago because the train runs from where we live to Chicago. But I'm asking myself, how do you live in this city and not know that this stuff is going on? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Y'all hitting the movie theater. You trying to get some play. Take your girl to Haley Brantley's Wonderland, you know what I'm saying? And walk around there. You get pictures, you might hold hands, you know what I'm saying? Get conversations. You're gonna go to a movie where you're not even allowed to talk.
Just sit there in silence. Come on.
Right. Or go sit in some restaurant where you got your mouth filled with food half the time. No, hit one of these art exhibits, like you said, an opening. Come on.
Oh, forget it. That man, I was telling my nephew, take your date here. Next time you go on a date, go to an art show opening. Trust me, man. She's gonna love you.
Yes, and we'll remember it for even if y'all don't make it, she will remember you for that.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's beautiful. Okay. All right, we're running through these questions, man. This has been a very easy interview, man. This has been great.
Hey, I'm enjoying myself, man. I'm still honored that I'm even here. Like after 20 years of inactivity.
I'm telling you, man. Once I saw the art, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to see what this guy's all about.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so do you see yourself showing anytime soon? Have you looked into that? Maybe submitting to galleries or trying to get in a group show or something like that? Or even making your own, little pop-up for a weekend or something like that.
I kind of I want to be careful how I say this, because I don't want it to come off the wrong way. Because I'm really a laid back. I take the opportunities as they come. On one hand, I've always blazed my own path.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel beholden to, I got to get it in a gallery.
Okay.
But I do want it in the galleries. I have some opportunities to show my work coming up over the next month or so. These are my first opportunities.
Yeah.
Would I like to have my art, instead of sitting here with me, hanging somewhere? I would. I would like to. I envision a day where there is a show that includes my work, or even better, a show that features my work? 100%.
Yeah.
That's why I treat my work the way I do. I don't just do random whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I work through a theme, and I'm presenting something that I hope one day that somebody sees these We Are the Power of Love paintings, and I hope somebody does see that and say, I want that. In terms of submitting to a gallery, I just don't, at this point in time, I don't see myself doing that. Because I would rather be recruited by somebody who sees, like you saw me and you reached out to me.
Yeah.
That means that I know you like what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not begging. I'm not looking for a handout. Sure. I created something, you took an interest. That's what I prefer. Now, if somebody asks me to submit, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to be like whatever. But that's not my MO.
Okay. All right. Would you ever think about doing a pop-up show of just or even gathering a few artists from the area and put something like that together? Because I know you talked about wanting to own a gallery sometime in the future. I'm kind of speaking on myself right now, because I had been thinking about this for a little while. I can't afford a gallery right now. I mean, I just couldn't do it, but I could probably get a space for a few days and have something going on there. Would you think about doing something like that?
100. I actually I mentioned Haley Brantley earlier, and I've become real accustomed, not just with his work, but his path. And I know that he kind of pioneered the idea of just skipping the gallery system and doing what you do, and doing your own pop-ups, getting your own space. It's nothing to rent a space for a little while.
Yeah,
I mean nothing but money. So what do you need outside of that? you need a name or some work that people care about. The reason why I'm not painting in my basement and not sharing, which is my natural tendency.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm open to do interviews and to share on social media is because I understand that without a name and without work that people care about, I can't help anybody. Yeah. So I'm working on my name right now. I'm working on getting people, this is me. This is my authentic self. If you like me, you love me, let's do it. If you don't, hey, you have that right too. But I'm out here because I intend to do, as you said, pop up, show up, whatever it takes to get me and other artists like me out there in front of other people. And for them more so than me, help these artists that may really need the sales, help them sell some work. I'm still kind of attached to my work. I don't know if I want to sell it yet, but it's people dying to make a sale, literally dying of hunger to make a sale. I want to help those people.
Okay. That's awesome, man. That is wonderful. Okay. Yeah. It's funny, man. Like, since I've been doing the show and like going out to show openings and things like, I try to go to at least one a week. I would say, I don't know, there's something different about I can only speak on, SoCal right now, but there's something different about the art community, man. I think the internet has something to do with it, that a lot more artists can be connected. And like there's this art collective that I found out about online. I actually interviewed two of the people in the collective. And they're just people that have met online, and, they feature different artists, and they do projects together and stuff like that. I think it's, I think going forward that a lot more artists are going to be, I don't want to say like, become super famous or like that, but like will be known more, just because artists now are so much more willing to share and to support each other, and not try to keep everything for themselves. You know what I mean? It's been really cool to see. It's much different than when my dad was making art, when there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter. You had to submit your stuff to galleries back then. You had no other choice. So it really is beautiful to see, man. Like it's like I said, that's how I got in contact with you, just being online.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And you think about how many people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s that have done art their whole life. And nobody knows. Not they family, outside of family. The people who live with them, work with them, go to church with them, hang out with them, all of that stuff, and have no idea, because like you said, before the last 10, 15 years, there was no way for them outside of, will you look at my work? Will you look at this? Can I show you this? Even if you came to their house, most of the time the work was put somewhere. They'd have to try to ask you, do you want to see their work? But I love the two sides of me as an artist. Everything prior to recently was before social media, before the social media boom.
Sure, yeah.
And so people didn't know. People didn't. I mean, people who grew up with me knew, but people who met me at work and stuff like that, there was no way for them to see it. The people I work with now, they found out. They were being nosy, snooping my social media. They found out, because it's out there. So people who know me now, they see it and it's out there. But the people who knew me way back then, there was no way for them to find out without me exposing it to it.
It's so my favorite artist is a dude named Mark Bradford. I'm not sure if you know Mark Bradford. Is pretty. All right, so LA's own Lamert Park.
Choice.
That's
good choice.
That's a LA proper boy, right? So I started watching documentaries about him, like interviews he's given, and he didn't really, I guess, not blow up, and then not be known, but he really took off. I think he was already in his 40s. So this man had been making art forever, and I saw this interview with him, and he was working as a hairstylist. And he gave a painting, or not a painting, it's not really paint, but he gave a piece to this woman whose hair he used to do. And said it was just sitting in her garage, just collecting dust, until someone came over and saw that and said, do you know what you have in your garage? Do you know how much money this thing is worth? You got it sitting here all dusty and with boxes in your garage. So like you were saying, there's probably so much amazing artwork that the world will just never see, will never know about. And that's why this show is so important to me, because even if I can get 4 or 5 people to follow you and look at your work and then, support whatever you're doing. I mean, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah. That's all I could ask for too.
Yeah.
We all trying to grow together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And vice versa, man. If I could get a few more eyes on your program,
shit,
you know what I'm saying? Which is always my goal, man. It's always my goal. Somebody takes the time to have me on. The least I could do is make sure everybody I know knows that I'm here.
Thank you.
And you can, in turn.
I'm gonna do the same, man. Yeah, that's I knew, like, in order for me to get this thing off the ground, I knew it wasn't about, the most important thing wasn't, all right, I just need people to watch it. Was, will the artists take me seriously? Will they see that I'm not just kind of bullshit, like that I actually care about this sort of stuff. So yeah.
Well, one thing real artists can sniff out. We can sniff it out. Is passion.
Yeah.
That's our. If we sniff a hint of passion, we got you.
Yeah.
if all we see is commercialism and a need for attention, we're gonna turn our noses up at you. But I know when I met the fact that you reached out to me first and foremost, I was like, okay, definitely gonna take this brother seriously. But I watched a couple episodes and I was like, oh no, he's put his own time and energy into this.
Thank you.
You don't end up in these places unless you already know where to go.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was my biggest fear in the beginning, was like, oh well, like, artists think I'm trying to like grift. Well, they think I'm like just trying to use. Like, no, like, I hope they see. That's why, like, the first ever interview I did, right, was this artist out of Indiana named J-Mo. And I reached out to her first because she seemed super real to me. You know what I mean? And I knew, all right, if she sees me how I see her, then this is the start of something, and it happened. So all right. Well, we gotten through all my questions here. Let me questions I like to ask at the end of every interview. All right, if you could go anywhere in the world, and I know you're a family man, so you can bring your family anywhere in the world to be inspired and create, in anywhere that you feel would, I don't know, add a little extra something into the way you see things, where would you go?
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. If I go off the top of my head and don't think too much, I would say somewhere like Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I tell you why. Not that you asked, but I'll tell you anyway. I'll tell you why.
I got the time.
I love Black people. I love all people.
Yeah,
I love all people, but there's something particular with the understanding that Black is something that was created by non-Black people. But I love Black people, and I love the culture that I come from, my Black culture that I come from. But I'm fascinated, and I really love the other Black cultures around the world.
Yeah,
and a lot of my art is influenced by trying to create a vision of, I don't intentionally think black. That's just what I see, But part of what I want to do is I want to, especially for those of us here in the United States, I want to expand our vision and acceptance of what Blackness is, since we're going to allow ourselves to be defined by our skin tone. And let's travel around the world and see. So my art is undeniably Black, but there's nothing about it that makes it Black art, based off of what's considered Black art. But it's Black. When I say I do Black art, nobody's gonna be like, what? They're gonna be like, okay, it's Black. But there's nothing in my art that says, let's be slaves, or let's go through segregation. I'm not against it. I love that stuff. But I've seen I got Haitian friends, Nigerian friends, Ghanaian, Barbados, and the only Black people I haven't really had a whole lot of access to are South American Blacks. I know other South Americans, but the South American Black culture, I see it from a distance, and it looks fascinating. It looks like a form of Blackness that I would love to bring into what I do, so that when I'm creating, I'm inspired by that. And it shows through my work. Like I said, just creating a single global picture of Black.
Yeah.
But in a way that's not segregated or secluded to Black. People who like my work are not. My father-in-law said, "Look, Cory, ain't enough Black people in the world to buy enough art from you.
Yeah.
Don't segregate yourself. You know, anybody can love your work.
Yeah.
So if people can accept that Black art can be, you know, I hate the word mainstream, but Black art can just be art.
Yeah.
And I can present that and present it in a way that's not the same old story that we all like to tell. That means me too, that we all like to tell. I like to do that. And I think digging into what's going on in Brazil or just that whole area of the world would be a good addition to what I already do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. That was a very nice, thorough answer right there. Yeah. You know what? I'm fascinated by Brazil too. You know, it's probably from a different standpoint. So I started watching the UFC when I found out about Anderson Silva.
Yes,
right?
Sir. Yes,
and I remember thinking, I remember seeing Anderson Silva and just thinking he's just like, oh, that's just some Black American guy. And then I watched him fight, like, oh no, this dude is from Brazil. I had no concept, right? Like he's the reason I started watching UFC. I'm like, oh, this Black dude is beating the shit out of people. Let me see what's up.
Same here.
So, so and then the more I learned about Brazil and the culture, and like, so I found out this was a pretty fun fact. Like the show Everybody Hates Chris is like a crazy popular show amongst Black Brazilians.
Yeah.
Because it was like one of the first times they had a Black lead. And she's not like maid or something like that. So there's videos on YouTube. That cast goes to Brazil and they're treated like royalty there. Like
wow, I'm definitely going straight to look for it.
It's incredible how much they love that show. To see a Black family on TV as the leads, they're not side characters. They're not, it's depiction of a family that could be anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? So but Brazil's interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to leave off with this question.
Yeah.
If there's any advice that you can give to a young artist that you wish someone had told you in the beginning, what would it be?
I would tell them that it's very important that you believe that you can eat from your art. Unfortunately, the system we live in, anything you do has to put food on the table, but you can eat. But you're not going to eat you're not likely going to eat if you part-time with something else, because you're going to be competing against the kids that don't have a backup plan. You're going to be competing against people who went to college on a one-track mind. It's either my art or nothing. And they're going to put 80 hours a week in, learning, getting better, getting acclimated, assimilating into arts culture. And you're going to be doing 40 hours a week in business classes and then finding 20 hours in your free time around that to try to compete with those people. So if you're at an age, and I have a son who falls in that group, who is an art student right now. And I tell him all the time, focus, focus, focus. Don't let anybody tell you that you're going to be a starving artist. The artists that starve are the ones that don't have a plan and don't focus hard enough on how to turn their art into a way to eat.
All right, man. I think I found my first promo clip right there, man. That was
oh, wow. Okay, bro.
Write that down. No, I'm serious too. That was great. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Cory B. Buckner. Thank you for your time, my friend. And where can the people reach you? What's the best place for them to find you?
If they want to find me, they can find everything on my website. It's CoryBBuckner.com. You can find all my socials there. All my socials, I think, are also at Cory B. Buckner, but you can find everything. You can even see some of my work if you want to get a closer look at what's going on behind me, whatever. All of it is right there.
Absolutely, guys. Check out the website. You see all the amazing art with more to come. All right, Cory. Thank you so much, my friend.
Man, thank you, man. I want to tell you, I appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
So that goes without saying, but I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm gonna do what I can to make sure people get some more eyes on what's going on.
Thank you. That means
my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.